Canada is imposing retaliatory tariffs on about $20 billion worth of U.S. imports, escalating the trade dispute with Washington. The tariffs, ranging from 15% to 50%, will affect around 700 products from the 8th of September, with support measures announced for affected businesses and workers. For more on that, and let's get perspective on Canadian workers, businesses and the economy. Let's speak now to Siobhán Vipond, who is Executive Vice President of the Canadian Labour Congress. Good evening to you and thank you for talking to us. So just at the start, your overall reaction, it seemed as if it was promising that there was going to be a deal struck, but it all fell apart towards the end of last week with Prime Minister Mark Carney deciding that what the Trump administration was asking for in lieu of a deal was a bridge too far. Your overall reaction as Labour to that development of the Prime Minister and his administration, simply saying that, no deal at this stage?
Yeah, it's been a long road that, kind of culminated last week with the, hoping that CUSMA deal would be found that was going to be fair for all countries, and it was not. And so we support Carney and the government for stepping away from it, because no deal is better than a bad deal. And we cannot be bullied. And there was too many things being asked in that deal that were going to be bad for Canada, bad for our workers and our communities.
Does it come down, Siobhán, to the domestic calculus in Canada? Because I've just been reading about some of what the Trump administration is demanding and how it's being responded to by the various provinces in Canada, your Ontarios, for example, and how they're responding to it. Does it come down to the effect on the Canadian economy and Canadian workers?
I mean, it's really important to remember how connected our economies are, right? The US and Canada, we have worked quite closely, and many of our industries are interconnected. And so what we were seeing is the asks that were being put in that agreement were really going after our sovereignty, and we're really going after things that we fundamentally believe here, which is, one is it was limiting our ability to have a trade agreement with any other country. It was limiting our language, sovereignty. We're a country with 2 official languages, but even more than the language part is they wanted to have a say in what laws get made here. We're a democratic country. We get to decide that. And so, yes, what you're seeing across the country are premiers in support of this, saying this isn't good, we need to push back. It's the only way we can deal with this. Now, that doesn't, negate the fact that this is going to be hard times. There is going to be very challenging times because our economies are so interconnected. And the one thing that is really important for us to remember, and Trump does not acknowledge this, is that yes, we need the U.S., but the U.S. needs us. It's not a one-sided relationship. Yeah. We have, hopes that it continues, but right now, what the ask is too big.
So let's talk then about that tit-for-tat impact and how it hurts both economies and whether enough measures are being put in place. What's your sense? Can Canada afford to keep going in what is effectively becoming a trade war, even as the bite of that trade war starts to be felt? What needs to be done by the Carney administration to ensure that workers are cushioned?
Yeah, we are in support of this, and you're absolutely acknowledging the right thing, which is we are going to need some measures so that workers aren't feeling the brunt of a war that they didn't start. And so we are hopeful on some of the things we're seeing. We're seeing large investments in infrastructure, large investments in our social infrastructure, and then the announcements that we heard yesterday was an acknowledgement of our expanding these temporary measures we have with our employment insurance program, which allows workers in between jobs, to have a bridge financially, but there definitely needs to be more. There needs to be better EI, as we call it, the employment insurance, which is making sure that families are not struggling during this time. And we need to see that all of these investments are ensuring that the jobs are good paying, so that the money means jobs in our communities, and then that is where the economic growth is going to happen. And so we think it's been a good start and we're taking the right steps, but it is going to be a hard road.
All right, let's leave it there. We'll keep touching base. Thank you for joining us this evening. That's Siobhán Vipond, who is the Executive Vice President of the Canadian Labour Congress, just giving us a perspective on what is turning out there, Bongiwe, to be quite a dramatic trade deal between two economies that actually need each other.
Basically, we will not be bullied.
Yeah,
It sounds like that's what they're saying.